So, here you show up.
That's my high school graduation.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's your profile.
Let me get my glasses.
Are they here? Or are those Ruth's?
I don't know. We have the same thing. Hey, just for your information,
Mm-hmm.
if you ever go in and try to get something from me, from the IRS or anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
some reason or other, my birth date there is 1931. I seem to recall that when
Your
I was...
real one is? Or your...
No.
Oh, on their thing.
On
it
their
shows
record,
up.
it shows up as 31.
Huh.
Okay.
Here's your birth certificate. Here.
Can you print it?
Yeah. We can view it.
You can't print it.
Well, I could print it if I wanted to.
Because we lost mine. We also lost my discharge record.
Oh, this is the original here.
Woodford Harber.
Actually,
Yeah,
you
well,
named
that's where
here.
we lived in Fort Wayne, Holton Avenue. Velma Schwartz. She was 29 when I was born. Yeah, she was born in Leo. Dad just says Indiana. He didn't say where he was born at. I don't know where he was born at. I know he worked at ECA. It was part of Phillips Dodge, a division of Phillips Dodge.
What does it say? Wire drainer?
Wire drawer. Yeah, he wire. They took and they would draw it down, put it through devices where it would actually thin it down and make it smaller.
Mm-hmm. Right.
He was really had a knack for that. He was.
Yeah.
Huh.
So there's crazy amounts of records of stuff.
How did you get this?
Well, that's on. It just shows up on. If I do a search under your name or under whoever's name, so here I'll show you the tree. It's all public records that they're drawing on.
And
So
who do we have here? We have Ruth, Janet, Boomer.
right. So the way the tree works is we're looking this way. We're looking as, say my generation, your parents' generation. So it's progressing up. We could also look at it this way. So there's different ways of looking at that.
Roseanne, Darcy Ann.
So this basically turns it sideways.
Yeah.
So this is kind of more. This way kind of shows you more generations in terms of what you can see. The other way shows so this is kind of more direct lineage. If we turn it sideways, you see more of the siblings and everybody, right? So like on this one, you don't see Mary, you don't see Dick, you don't see anybody, right? Because it's just basically you. But if we turn it laterally, we turn it 90 degrees.
Christina, that's my grandmother's name.
So
she was a tiny little lady.
So basically, you've got. I don't have any pictures of artists or Dick, but there's a whole bunch of. I mean, as you look here, it goes wide, right? So you've got basically you, your mom, your dad, their parents. I mean, that's his parents. And kind of her parents go this way, the Schwartzes.
Wilfred Henry, where did you get that picture?
Well, here, I'll show you. There's a picture of Jacob, who would
Who
be
is he?
your grandfather.
I never saw him. He died when I was a youngster. I saw
It
him,
was
but I don't remember him.
1936.
Yeah, I was very young the time he passed away. I don't even know what he
So
passed
there's a
away
picture
from.
here of the whole
Oh boy, he looked like a Harber.
his family.
Looks like Dad.
So let's see. There's this picture. So what I did was I took this picture and I peeled off. So that's your dad. And there's basically all these different.
And there's my grandmother, huh?
Yeah.
But I don't even know most of those people. I really don't.
There's let's see. There's a version. Oh, sorry.
Oh,
There's a
I'm
version
actually-
that has everybody's name on it. I think somewhere in here, somewhere. Huh. Well, hang on. If I do this, if I do a search, if I search for George Jacob Harber,
Jacob, huh?
so that's his middle name.
Pleasant Allen
And
County,
if I
wherever that
do
was.
pictures, if I here.
That's the one we just looked at.
Yeah, but sometimes they have the names of who's who. And that's how I pulled that out was looking at an image that had that of who was who. Oh. Let's try that again.
He was born in 1891, huh? No, married.
1863. Oh, strange.
Jeez,
It's not opening.
during the Civil War. Huh.
Well, so somewhere I had a breakdown of who was who in that picture.
Well, my dad's
I'm not
brothers
really sure
were
if
Oscar and Carl.
Yeah, so there's 1, 2, 3 brothers, 4 brothers.
And her sister was Lucille.
Yeah, so if I go back, let me go back to the tree, and I'll kind of show you where we are. Actually, here, let me slide this chair out. It's going to be a lot easier for me.
I'll tell you what, why don't you just...
Kerplunk.
Why don't you just... I'm going to say we can just slide
Do
over.
you want to
huh?
switch? Do you want to switch? Do you want to sit here in your seat?
Oh, you get that damn thing, Scooby.
So there's your dad, Wilfred. And that's one edge of it. There's Carl.
What are these pictures that you have? For example, Jen. That's a recent one, right?
Yeah,
How did you get that?
I just put it in there.
Oh, okay.
So these are all pictures of people that are. Here, let me turn this light on here. So,
Can you,
this one's got arms on it, which is the problem.
well, why don't you sit down in there, and I will slide this one over.
Yeah, there we go. Here. Is that gonna work? Oh, that's
Yep.
what it is. This lip is hitting. Okay, so we've got
Howard. That was my...
Lucille, which would be the oldest.
she
sibling.
married a Fox, Henry Fox. There you
Yeah.
go. And they lived next door to Howard. I
Oh,
remember
really?
yeah. And Howard died, and Lucille died, and then the Fox married Howard's wife. Anyhow, it was confusing. Yeah, Carl. Yeah, he developed some vulcanizing for tires and whatnot during World War II to repair tires. He patented.
Mm-hmm. So he married Matilda, and those are their kids. I mean, there's a bunch of gaps in here for sure. But I
Yeah,
mean, I think
they
it
had a
kind
lot of kids. They have more kids than that.
yeah. And but that was all. There was a lot of harbors listed when I looked. There's also like city directories.
Yeah.
For Fort Wayne, a lot of harbors in the listing. That was kind of
Yeah,
surprised.
well, he must have had 7, 8 kids,
Right.
and
And then there's the generation older than them, which was, so they were the kids of George and Christina the Reals, also Muellers. So there's Mueller's side. So that's your grandfather.
yeah,
That's your
my
grandmother.
She was a tiny little woman.
And then there was others that were, these are all siblings on the Harber
John
side.
Harber.
There's Garrett.
Martin Harber. Garrett Harber.
Yeah.
Frank Harber.
And
I
there's
didn't know any of those.
right. Well, they're a good deal older.
Yeah.
And also they're John only lived 5 years, so he 1870, 1929, 1924. So they're basically
That's before I
they
came
all
along.
died before you. So your grandfather, and then
They all died young, didn't they?
yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, they are on the younger side. Well, I mean, that's, at that time, that's 60, that's 52 to 17, that's, 65.
Yeah, my grandfather died. He was born
That's like
60,
almost, that's 85 years, right? Ish. But so oh yeah, she lived till 1962.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Oh yeah, she
lived really long.
she lived in the cabin up the lake.
Oh really?
Yeah, up at Papakichi.
So what was she like?
Oh, she liked to drink beer, and she's a tiny little woman. I remember I broke her rib once squeezing her.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it shows like residencies, it shows burrs, I mean, this is all stuff that I put in here. So you end up with all this information, and you can say, yeah, that's the right person. No, that's not the right person, and whatnot. From censuses and residences, like city, what do they call it? City directories and stuff like that.
Yeah. 20 Ward 6, whatever that was.
Yeah.
But
well, and you can look at them. I mean, that's the other thing that's crazy is you can look like, all right, 1921. You can see the actual address, So if I go here, in theory, it will pull up. Let's see. No, there's a gravestones. Sometimes it'll show up with the actual. Hang on. If I go here, view. If I go there and I view it, sometimes it'll show the actual. Yeah, so this will show the directory, and it'll give you the address, like where they lived, which is kind of.
let's see where they
an
lived.
amazing amount of detail.
Let's see where she lived at the time.
So if you look
What
here,
is this?
all right here. So George J. and Christina, a watchman at GE Company, 1233 Scott.
Oh, I don't. That's before.
But that's 1921 in Fort Wayne.
Yeah.
But look at all the harbors. Garrett, George, Joseph, Loretta, Lucille, Martin, Mary, Mildred, Oscar, Ralph, Willard.
Those are Oscar
Amy.
was my uncle.
Uh-huh.
Oscar, Lucille.
So here's 2214 Hannah, 1431 Oakland,
Who is that? Hannah.
Mary,
Yeah.
widow of Peter.
Yeah.
Um,
Scott. Yeah. Look at they had a street named after you. Huh?
there you go.
Yeah.
Huh?
You're pretty damn famous.
Famous all over the country. Lucky me.
How
But
far were you able to go back on your mother's side?
oh, you mean generationally?
Yeah.
Probably till like 1860s. There's okay. You're gonna see some incredible stuff here that goes back with the Muellers, to the Garmans, to the Germans, and on the Harber side.
See, I didn't really know on my father's side. We didn't really get together with my relatives much. We would go over to visit Oscar. He lived out on the farm. I remember as a youngster, he squirted me with some milk from a cow. And his wife's name, I think, was Mildred.
Uh-huh.
I think. I don't know. That's been years ago.
So what was it like? I mean, when you grew up there, was it pretty rural, or what was the vibe
Well,
of it?
where Oscar was, he lived on a farm. I think he had 40 acres. I'm not even sure where it was in Fort Wayne, but we lived in town. Dad worked in a factory, and Mom, she also worked. When we lived in Fort Wayne, she worked for a Fruhoff Trailer Company during World War II.
Uh-huh.
They had a big facility right behind us, and she started working over there because she could walk to work, and then she wound up working for the union in the union office. So she used to have to mail all the dues and everything to their headquarters in Detroit. I remember one time she always sent the money there by, we're in trouble, registered mail. And one time I mailed it for her and I didn't, how soon are we going to eat?
As soon as I cook.
Oh, you just have to start cooking. We have Wi-Fi here, dear.
We do?
Yeah, so you remember you were concerned at one time about it? Well, anyhow.
But like, did you grow up like in the?
I grew up
I mean,
with...
so you guys were kind of in the city part of Fort Wayne, and then
Yeah, we lived the address you see on my birth certificate, Holton Avenue. That was right in Fort Wayne. And
just stick that there. Thank you.
that house we lost during the Depression.
We're leaving about 15.
Then we moved out on Euclid Avenue when I was, well, I don't know. And I was there during the start of World War II, so maybe 8 years old. And Mary was a couple of years younger than myself. And that was a little further out on the edge of Fort Wayne, and Fruhoff Trailer Company was just a block from our house, and Mom went to work there, and Dad was still working at the wire mill. He never did get laid off. He just wound up spending his money over a beer joint, Todd's. He used to pitch for them, St. Liver.
Mm-hmm.
He was a pitcher. Your grandfather was a hell of a pitcher in his time. I don't know if you can bring up anything, but he was part of the St. Louis Browns farm team, St. Louis Browns, Detroit Tigers farm system.
Uh-huh.
He got as high as Toledo, the AAA, and they traded him to the Yankees, and he just packed up his bag and went home. He'd have nothing to do with the Yankees. Oh, he hated the Yankees. Yeah, and whenever the teams at that time, the baseball teams, we were right between, kind of the center between Chicago, Cincinnati, Detroit, Cleveland, and at that time they'd take trains
Right,
to the noon,
between.
and once in a while they would lay over in Fort Wayne, and they'd have an exhibition game, and they always managed to get Dad to pitch the games against them.
Nice.
Oh yeah, he was
A good opportunity.
Yeah, he was a hell of a pitcher. But when he jumped his contract, he was still owned technically by the Yankees, not like today.
Right.
You were owned for life. But
Yeah, pre-free agency, huh?
yeah.
Hey, Ruth,
Ruth,
can you do me a huge favor?
Yeah,
Can we turn the radio off or whatever's on in the kitchen?
the TV show.
Thank you. It's just gonna be
Okay,
like
I'm not watching it anymore.
cool. Thank you.
but anyhow, on my father's side, we never did get together much. But
I'm not watching it anymore.
everything looked like a holiday. We'd wind up going to my grandmother's on my mother's side. We always wanted to spend all the holidays there.
Which is she's a Miller or a Mueller or
She was a Garmin.
a Garmin. Right. Hang on. Let me go back to
Where's
the
the
tree.
Garmin?
Well, the Garmins show up there. So on the mother's side,
But on my grandfather's side, Schwartz's, we never got together there with his relatives. But on my grandmother's side, we'd get together for a kind of a family reunion periodically.
so there's the Okay, so on your dad's side, there's the Muellers
Don't know him.
and Real and
Riley.
Fox.
Was-
So that's the Harber side.
Riley.
This is the. Is that how you say that, Riley?
Yeah, that's how.
So
Yeah.
then on your mom's side, there's Hensingers, there's Schwartzes, and there's Garmins.
Yeah.
So, okay, so look, here's your mom's side, and that comes over here, and she's a Schwartz and a Garmin. So these are Schwartzes, Benoit Schwartz, and John B.
Yeah, that's OJB.
You see how that flows there? So you've got this is your grandma on that side, your mom's mom, and that's your mom's dad.
Yeah, okay, that's OJB, yeah. And they had 4 children.
Right. So there's Velma, there's Jessie
Jessie.
May. So here I can slide this over this way.
John Dale.
Jessie May, John Dale, and Mary
Yeah.
Betty.
Betty, yeah. She was out here. She came out to visit one time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Mom, she came out to visit Mom, and Mom brought her down here. John Dale, I remember when, during World War II, going down to the Pennsylvania Railroad Station he was going off to war, and my grandfather was crying.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Said, we'll never see him again. Yeah, he went in as the first lieutenant. And he had a...
And he came back, or no?
Oh, yeah. He had some kind of explosion when he was working on a radio or something or other, and it damaged him somewhat. But he came back, he moved to Chicago, and he married... he brought an English bride back with him.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of World War II. And that was Judy. I don't know what her maiden name was. I'd probably recognize it. But Mary married, what the hell is his name?
Nicholas Vandervoort.
Yeah, Nick
Vandervoort.
Dick Vandervoort. He's from Ossian. OSSI, Ossian, Indiana. Basketball player, whatnot.
Uh-huh. And then...
You don't have Dale Schwartz's wife, do you?
No, it didn't show up there, but I mean that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. But sometimes the connections show up, and sometimes they don't. So it's hard to say.
Yeah, she was an English girl. He married her right. Well, it must have been right after World War II.
I mean, you can do a search for them. I mean, there's ways to kind of research, you know,
And
folks.
they had two boys, Graham and what the hell? Bradley. Graham and Bradley.
They're very English names.
I don't
So
know.
basically, I mean, this is the result of a lot of work. So sometimes you just kind of trim off, like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm not going to research this wing.
You don't
of
need all that
everybody.
stuff hanging on.
No, but I mean, it's still doable. But I mean, you kind of you start looking around, and you start seeing. You know, you have to weed.
Can
through
you bring
all
up
of the-
my enlistment or discharge?
Maybe able to. So let's go to where you are. I think you're kind of over here.
This is amazing.
Isn't it? Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, just how
No,
much
it's amazing.
There's a yearbook picture.
Yeah, that's when you
Marriage
have.
and divorce. Hang on. We'll do a search. Let's look up here and see what happens with a search.
Discharge.
Just
You know, the strange thing is one of the doctors here in Escondido. I was born in Lutheran Hospital, as you saw on the birth certificate. Not that you would remember it, but that's where he got his training.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Lutheran Hospital.
That's nuts. That's okay. So if we look up military. So, Department of Veteran Affairs. That's a different Loren Harber.
Yeah, what are you doing?
What do you mean?
There's two Loren Harp?
Yeah.
Huh, I didn't know
Oh,
that.
there's probably a whole bunch.
No, Loren is somewhat of a...
See, the other thing is they're not all completely, utterly complete. You know? So you can't say, like, well, there's no discharge because nobody was there, kind of a thing. Let's see. There's a federal census. These are ones that are already in there, these blue ones. So, draft enlistment service. What would it be under? Maybe that?
Look, enlistment service, yeah. Draft enlistment service.
No. All Harbor?
No,
That's
that's
Marines.
Marines. I was in the Air Force.
There's another page.
You got one of...
But they tend to hierarchically make the best matches at the top, is the thing. So. Walter L. A lot of Walter L's.
Never heard of him.
Yeah. Well, if we go back to the tree. There's certain people like Hank. How do you say Adis?
Yeah, it is.
There's like not a lot of stuff out there on him.
Well,
I was really surprised.
they came from Arkansas, I think. Maybe they didn't have a lot of records.
Yeah. I mean, there's stuff, but not a lot. And there's pictures of. Oh wait, hang on. There's if we look
Mariella's.
pictures of Mary. I think in the gallery here. Pictures from yearbooks or things like that.
It's
Is that her there?
no. Going down. Whoa.
Wait. Oh, hang on.
Didn't have that many harbors in
Or is that the wrong high school? It's showing Fort Wayne Central Catholic High School.
No, that's not. That's wrong high school. We went to New Haven.
So see, some of these are probably, there's going to be wrong stuff. Let's try this one.
It's Central Catholic also.
Oh, this is?
Well, it says Central Catholic.
Yeah, you're right.
New Haven is where she didn't graduate.
Oh, that's still.
Central Catholic.
Oh, that was the same one. Anyways, there's what's this here?
New Haven, that's it.
Oh, there's no picture though. Hang on.
Well,
Row 1, row 2, so maybe there's a previous picture.
Ken Burkhardt. Here's my class. There's a Reamer, Burkhardt. Oh, there it is. There's the picture. It's gone up.
Is that Mary? That looks like Mary.
No.
No?
Oh, Butch Folsom. I think it's Butch.
Is there a list of names anywhere? There isn't really. Huh. Oh, I get it. So
There's Butch.
the list was on the other page, and then this page is the pictures.
He was one of our neighbors. He and I spent a lot of time playing basketball. That looks like Bonnie George. That's Jackson. I don't know. They were 2 years behind me.
Mm-hmm.
Gradius or Reamer. And not
So we go
Russ.
this way and let's see where.
Carol Potts. I remember Mary was a good friend of hers.
Mary Alice Harber. So
Yeah.
row 4. Row 4 at the end.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what happens here. Row 1, 2. That's not her.
No, neither one.
Huh.
I don't.
Maybe I'm going the wrong way.
Yeah.
Maybe if I go this way. Here, right there.
Yeah, there she is. Hank was in the class in front of her and behind me.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There's a singer, right? I mean, she's like really.
Well, she was in a glee club and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. How they doing?
They're doing fine. Best of knowledge, they're trying to sell their property in Utah. She didn't like it.
Oh, really?
No, she didn't like it there.
I can see. So basically the Garmin family is huge. Garmin
Yeah,
family
they
is
lived.
massive. Look
That
at that.
was,
Look at that. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
I remember when we get together with them, we'd get together with on the Garmin side once in a while, the whole family reunion, and I think they'd actually take over a church in Leo, Indiana, and we'd all go up there, have a big to-do potluck type thing,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, that's where I
Pretty
got.
social?
Oh yeah. We kids would put on a show for the adults. I remember Mary and I got up and sang "White Christmas" one year.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Classic.
Yeah.
So let me just show you kind of how deep this goes here. So the Garmins go really deep, as do not the Schwartzes, is the Hensingers?
The Sforces don't go deep.
Well,
My mother always told me that I had some Welsh.
Well, it could be. I mean,
Heritage
these are
in
all
me.
German names: Hensinger, Schwartz, Reinhold.
Yeah,
Reese. There's Garmins and Reeses, so maybe on the Reese side.
They, I don't know if it's on my grandfather's side or on my grandmother's side, but I know that there was some Pennsylvania Dutch
Oh yeah, big time.
activity in there.
So the Reeses go back to 1750s in terms of trackability. I think these guys are probably Dutch, right? Pennsylvania Dutch. Or not Dutch, but I mean they're in Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
1750s. These guys, the Reeses, go to Germany. That's Germany. And their kids, let's see, who's... Oh, okay, so the way this works is this family...
Yeah, you can
Their
see
parents
the,
are this kid,
yeah,
Jacob Reese,
the
and
top
this
line.
family had all of these kids.
Ooh-wee.
So Salome Kais, or Rice, probably.
Ready to eat,
Yeah, anytime.
please? Cork, can you put the water on?
Oh,
Here,
sure.
I'll pause this and